In my previous video, I came up with what a completed Ashlands could look like in a fully developed state, but that was only part 1 in this 3-part mini-series consisting of the Ashlands Deep North and a new biome I won't quite reveal just yet. But for now, let's continue this journey and complete my ideas for the next biome, the Deep North, and what it could look like. Exactly like the Ashlands, the Deep North would take place after the plains in the game's progression, acting as the second choice. Go up to the Deep North or south to the Ashlands, with a branching path feel that I also talked about in my previous Ashland video, so yeah, go check that out. Also like the Ashlands, once you enter the Deep North, a status effect will stick with you until your departure. I call this Deep Freeze. A lot like the regular freezing effect of mountains, but requiring you to have at least 2 freeze-negating pieces of clothing or buffs to negate it, such as wearing a wolf cape while having frost resistance buff active. Another effect of this biome is blizzards. Blinding and slowing blizzards would be a replacement for rain in this biome. Also found in the Deep North is a frosty counterpart to the Ashlands flame metal, what I call frost metal. Creative stuff, I know. Also collectible via the iron pick and smeltable in a blast furnace. Frost metal could also be found on icebergs rarely. And speaking of, when destroying an iceberg you would get ice, another way to prevent overheating or use ice in some recipes. I'll touch on that a little later. Also, special igloos could be found around the tundra, which would be a nice respite, as in the Deep North, there would be next to no trees, making it extremely difficult to base if not prepared with enough materials. But there's more to prepare for than the weather itself. Luckily, we already got some enemies to work with, so I'll just start there. First up are the Arctic wolves, which spawn in larger packs, but also start out as less aggressive, keeping their distance, waiting to ambush you. And they also drop Arctic pelts. Also introducing the frozen drake, an even more cold flying foe who instead of shooting projectiles from a distance, would bum rush the player swooping by, trying to get in one hit that would slow the player down, readying them for more attacks. The frozen drake would also drop Arctic shards. But something even more sinister lies in the snow. The groundhog, lurking underneath the snow ready to pop up and attack you at a moment's notice. It would drop frozen meat. But that's not all. Before we end this segment off, we have to talk about our final enemy, the big bad of the Deep North, the Frost Incarnate, the icy counterpart to the magma incarnate of the Ashlands. This frosted foe would be spawned at the Forsaken Altar, the Crystallized Cavern, by using 2 frozen fractals also found by killing frozen drakes. Her first attack would involve spawning ice crystals underneath the player that spring out quickly, stabbing the player. She would also retreat into an icy shield, needing fire attacks to damage and break the shield. She'd also summon a blizzard in the area around her, quickly slowing and freezing anything near it. The Frost Incarnate would drop the Frozen Key, the counterpart to the Molten Key, completing the set of 2. More on that in a future video. But now, it's time to forge us some new gear. Just like in my last video with the Ashland armor and tools, the frozen gear is made by combining black metal tools with frost metal, creating the frozen gear. And you'd be able to forge the Frostwind, opposite to the fiery Durnwind of the Ashlands, with freezing attacks and a frosted sheen. And with the Ice Drake's Arctic shards and the Arctic wolf pelt, we can make the frosted armor, which should grant immunity to all freezing effects, including deep freeze. I think that this biome could be a great opposite to the Ashlands, making people choose to either become a fiery assailant or a frost warrior by picking one of these paths to go to. But anyway, thanks for tuning in to another Valheim enhancement. please feel free to comment with a suggestion and stay beautiful. Bye.